What's up, guys? Guess what? I am teaching your class this Sunday. So, guess what today is? It's Easter, in case you guys didn't know. So, today we are talking about a very special story. This story is about Jesus. We do not celebrate the bunny on Easter. We celebrate Jesus. So we will talk about all the things that happened on the Holy Week, which was the last week that Jesus was alive here on earth. So first thing that happened was Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday is the Sunday before Easter. So basically, Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. I know. And many people put palm branches down on the ground for the donkey to walk past it. It was a sign of respect for Jesus at that time, because they had heard that the Messiah was coming, which the Messiah is God's son that he was going to send on earth, which was true, that he was the Messiah. But some people didn't believe he was the Messiah. So the next thing that happened was some of the religious leaders, which was the people that didn't believe he was the Messiah, plotted to kill Jesus. Jesus was a threat to the religious leaders. So because he performed miracles and had lots of people believe in him, they wanted to let the people keep believing on them, but they wanted to kill him because it conflicted with them. So Jesus knew this. So he planned a supper with his friends, which was the 12 disciples. This was called the Last Supper. So on Thursday night, this took place. Jesus sat down with his disciples to have a Passover dinner. Passover was a tradition that was in that time for their culture. So he broke bread and said it was a symbol of his body. Then he blessed wine and said it was a symbol of his blood. This is why we have the Holy Communion. So he broke the bread as a symbol of his body, and he poured the wine as a symbol of his blood. So he told the disciples he would be murdered and would rise on the third day, and his body and blood were a sacrifice for sins. This is the ultimate sacrifice that anyone can give. So God gave us his son so he could die on the cross for our sins. So the next thing that happened was the arrest. So this is all leading up to it. The arrest, right? After supper, Jesus and his disciples went to pray in a garden called Gethsemane, something like that. They went to pray, and the disciples fell asleep. While they fell asleep, Jesus continued to pray. And the soldiers came to arrest him after he was betrayed by his disciple Judas. So Judas was one of his friends, one of the 12 disciples, one of his homies, and he betrayed him for money. So interesting, right? Next thing that happened was the trial. So usually now in our time, when someone is convicted of a crime, they go into trial to prove if they're innocent or guilty. Things were a little different back then. He still had to go into a trial. So Jesus went into a trial with the religious leaders, or the leaders of their time at that moment, and the crowd decided to kill him. So they arrested him, they made him go into trial, and at the end they agreed to crucify Jesus between two rebels because of the crowd. The next thing that happened was the crucifixion. So we all know that Jesus was crucified Friday at noon. He lived on the cross for 3 hours. Then he said to the Father, "Into your arms I commit my spirit." This was the last things he said, and he died. So he died at that moment. There was an eclipse, an earthquake, and then a very thick curtain inside the temple was ripped in two. This is very important. We will continue to learn about this. At that moment, Jesus was put into a tomb. So once he was put into the tomb, that was it. Everyone thought he was dead, no resurrection. People were like, that was not the Messiah. He was gonna resurrect. But the disciples and a few other people that Jesus had encountered, including his mother, were gathered together and waiting for him to arise. So some of the Jesus disciples and Mary Magdalene, which is one of his friends that he had met and had saved while his time on earth, were going into the tomb, and Mary Magdalene was the first one to see this, but the tomb was empty. So she saw an angel, and this angel said, "He is not here, he has risen." That is why we start seeing the resurrection. So over the next 40 days, people started seeing the risen Jesus. They started seeing him as he was in heaven, So Jesus would come down and show them how that he resurrected and that he was the Messiah. This is why we celebrate Easter. So if you guys didn't know, this is why. But these are the things that happened that led up. And if you guys have any questions, please let us know and we will gladly answer them. Bye guys, I hope you guys have an awesome Easter. I hope you guys have an awesome time with your family, and keep praying that we get to see each other soon.